This interview is for information only and should not be considered as investment advice or a recommendation to buy shares in the company featured. Welcome to this Stock Box interview. Joining us again today is Andrew Bell, the CEO of Red Rock Resources. Thank you for your time again, Andrew. Of course, we only spoke last week where you were talking about one of the big things about the DRC, of course, was a final sort of concluding meeting, and an RNS announced today saying that you have indeed been invited by the DRC Presidency to a meeting on the 19th of October. So just in a few days' time, this meeting will be held with the local partner. So is this the meeting you were talking about? Is this a sort of final concluding meeting?
I think there's three meetings when I go over that. There's one meeting I have been invited to, which is to meet the other parties direct, because we spoke to each other about the possibility of reaching an agreement, because we did reach an agreement which was okay a couple of years ago, but then the principals on the other side, who were family members of the person we were dealing with, but he was the CEO, the people behind were mainly women. They stuck him up there because they thought he was an experienced businessman. He dealt with us. He very quickly saw the necessity of reaching an agreement. So we reached an agreement, but then they reneged. So as businessmen, he and I have agreed we would be able to get together and agree something if necessary. Our people there are saying, we're going to get a conclusion to this arbitration, and it's going to be better than something you do direct with the other side. So let's send you an invitation for that. And that's been, it had to be approved by a lot of people before it was sent out. It was in draft. I'm told that it will be issued any day now, and that will be for a meeting of the arbitration. I would expect it in the next day or two. We may not get it, but in any case, we're very, very close to having that meeting, which would be the arbitration. But there's also from the presidency an invitation, because, when we started this thing in Congo, we were talking on a big scale, because we were talking about something which, after all, when it was stolen from us, it was stolen from us at a value of hundreds of millions. And the people who stole it undoubtedly expected it to be worth a multiple of that. So we were operating on a big scale, and we got that because we were talking to the right people and talking in the right way. So instead of thinking smaller and smaller and saying, maybe we could eke out sort of $5 million, $7.5 million, $10 million in compensation, with sort of $7.5 million being the median point gross, we are thinking, let's enlarge the focus a little, because people don't give us much attention when we're talking about sums that small. And if we're engaging with the presidency and people like that, let's start thinking bigger, start thinking about the things that might be possible, might be done. And we find we're pushing on an open door there. There are some extremely good licenses, which we would like to have, because they'd be similar to what we had. They would, in fact, be places where you could start making money from day one. The question is what we can do to help the Congo as part of that. So that's what this meeting is about, that we've been invited to. Okay. One way or another, we're going to get this resolved.
Okay, so the meeting that this RNS is referring to is more of an opportunities meeting to decide or to discuss opportunities for business in the DRC.
Well, obviously, people understand that we will not be doing more business in the DRC unless we can sort out this little thing. It'll be part of the same story.
Okay, but you say you're still awaiting an invitation to a meeting about the arbitration. You want to fly out there and get this all nailed in one go.
It could have come out last week, and I think it's about to come out.
Okay.
We've been invited to a meeting on Saturday with, I can't say who, because then, but anyway, and we will have the necessary meetings, and we will get it sorted. And if we can show that there was a conspiracy, that in fact it was all a setup, then good. That makes our position stronger.
Indeed. So are you prepared for these meetings then with everything you need to go out with?
Yes, I mean, we're prepared for these meetings, which is all looking at the positive side and the Congolese side. As to the further actions we might take, we had discussions with our lawyers. We had meetings with council, and council gave a view. And then a year later, when we'd agreed that we would do certain steps before we pursued that, they got back onto our lawyer and said, actually, we've been thinking about this some more, and we would really, really like to take up this case. I mean, when we started this first action in the Congo, people said, well, going to court and then going to arbitration. What chance do you have in the Congo? And then they said, and what chance do you have in the Congo against these people? We said, oh, yeah, we have every chance, because if the facts are on your side and you continue to present them, and you have all the evidence, not just before we entered into the contract, but everything since has been minuted, noted, put in emails. So we have a kind of, we've got an audit trail of our interactions, and we're going to win. Simple.
Okay, so this meeting is these series of meetings will effectively be a multiple objectives achieved. Hopefully, looking at expert opportunities.
I hope so, yes.
Yes,
I mean,
and concluding the arbitration.
It wouldn't be seen as if we were not in a good position.
Right. Okay, and presumably you're flying out personally as well.
Yeah, I have to fly out. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Well, keep us updated, Andrew, on how the meeting's going. Is you meeting with the president himself or just the presidency?
No comment.
Okay. Well, let's just move on to some other questions. I picked these up from online just following our last interview here. So people are quite keen to know what perhaps other opportunities, and maybe you can't speak on this, but other opportunities that could be available to you in the DRC for use of those arbitration monies when they do indeed come in. And perhaps a suggestion was there was maybe with the new consultant there, Mike, doing something with him and some of the operations that he has. Is there anything you can say about potential opportunities?
Mike has... he's involved in running some tantalum and gold assets with a Congolese in Congo, but we have not spoken about that. What we are speaking about with him is Burkina Faso and bringing gold into production, and Côte d'Ivoire. He has said if there's any way he can help in Congo, but at the moment we've got almost too many people on the stage, so we don't need that. But in terms of whether we would use the money from the compensation to do things in Congo, that's not the idea. The idea is to take that money out of the Congo to show, I think, shareholders and ourselves and our board that we can make an investment, have success, and take the money out. That this is not going to be a paper award that is in fact conditional and where we have to immediately reinvest the money. No, if we get the money out, then we're in a good position to, I think, reinvest and do things because we have shown that we can do it.
Okay.
But I think it would be contrary to our policy and contrary to our judgment to leave the money there.
Okay. And in terms of the new direction of Red Rock Resources, is this going to be Burkina Faso, you think, going forward? I know you want to get a quick start going there. Near-term opportunity in gold, for example, taking advantage of what's going on at the moment.
And in Burkina Faso, of course, we want to, and Côte d'Ivoire, we want to put gold assets into operation quickly with alluvial. And then we have also in Kenya and in Australia, gold assets that would just take a little bit longer, although we've got one that could be fairly quickly brought into production on a small scale. We'll be following up on that too.
Yeah, okay. But Burkina would be the first one, the first cab off the rank.
Burkina, Ivory Coast will be the first cabs off the rank in terms of production, yeah.
Okay, good. And when would you hope to do? I mean, you were still waiting on the situation, weren't you, with getting equipment in? And
the interesting thing is that we get Mike lined up to come in and do it. And we were thinking, okay, like Mike can set things up because he can do that quickly. But once he does it, then if the Indians are going to take a little bit longer, our friends there, they can come in and they can either grow that asset or they can develop another. Because since we've got two large licenses, both with potential, and we've got the potential in Cote d'Ivoire next door, we can mix and match. There's nothing wrong with having two groups working on it. The difference is that Mike would be working paid by us, all the equipment owned by us, and so on. Whereas the Indians would be bringing in some things with which they would be charging us for, and so it wouldn't be, and they'd be leasing the equipment to us. So it's not quite the same situation, but we'll see, because as Deng Xiaoping said, I don't care whether a cat is a black cat or a white cat, as long as it catches mice. So we've got, and no sooner did we get Mike involved and make an announcement of it, then suddenly the Indians leapt into action, and all the timetables that they had been talking about suddenly change, and they're saying, yeah, we can have people there in days. And we say, hold on, because we want to know exactly what the costs, the on costs are going to be when they arrive, because we will need some things bought there to set up the camp, because what they're doing is on a slightly bigger scale. And so we've got to get to cash flow there, and we don't just want to put money in. So, I mean, I'm sure one of the things that people raise to you or have raised on chat rooms is, having got this authority from shareholders, are we now going to blow it all by doing a lot of placements? And the answer is, we would be irresponsible going into the period where we have to get our audits signed off, and without qualification by the auditors, and when we have to get our accounts out quite quickly, without having the evidence that there are ways in which we can raise money if we need to. And of course, we can raise money by producing gold. We can raise money by getting the settlements in Congo. But what if these don't happen? If we had no authority, then how could the auditors sign off? How could the Nomad allow us to put the announcement out? Unless we had some asset we could sell absolutely immediately. Because you can say, well, at the AGM, you get an authority anyway. Yes, but the point of the AGM is that it comes weeks after the sign-up of the audit and all of that. So we needed to have that there.
Okay.
Sorry. Also, we need to settle a tranche of the consideration for the purchase of the 49.9% of the Australian assets that we bought. And so it made sense to have this in place. We would use it because we'll have to, for example, if we have no other means of paying for the Australian asset, but we'll only use it in a limited way to the extent necessary, because we are working still on the assumption now that we would be able to either have the money from Congo or be able to show that we were about to get it in a very short time frame. But of course, you always have to have your plan B and your plan C. And I understand why people in the market out there get nervous.
Yes. Okay. So you're going to demonstrate that you can indeed get the monies from the DRC, or indeed some cash flow from starting operations in Burkina. Now, just on Burkina there, just so I'm clear, is the plan still for the Indians to come in, or was it you pursuing the other option in the interim?
Well, we're pursuing the other option immediately, but
Right.
the Indians are now saying, well, we want to come in, we're ready to come in, we can do it. And so we're going to talk to them, because they're talking now about, yes, we can give you the evidence. We bought the airline tickets for the people from India.
Okay. So they've sort of recently woken up, have they?
Yeah. Well, there's nothing like a bit of competition.
Okay, indeed. Yeah. Okay. So you're going to engage in those discussions
What do you
again.
think? We created some competitive tension.
Okay.
I think it was necessary for us to do that.
Right.
Because, we're a listed company, they're a private group. They just didn't understand the pressures that exist on a listed company.
Okay.
To put up and, to show.
Okay, so we can await an update on how that's going to proceed. I mean, do you have a deadline in time in mind, Andrew? Would you like to sort of say if the Indians don't commit by X deadline, we're proceeding regardless? You must want to have some
Well, the other guys can proceed regardless because it's actually a very small investment.
Okay.
And we'll start on a small scale, and it'll be quite useful having a kind of beta site to see how it works and what the problems are. So we're quite keen on doing that anyway, because the problem, of course, would be that if you've got all these people in from India, and if you've got a lot of expensive equipment brought in on lease, then what if some government intervention or some other problem means that you can't produce for the first month or whatever? Then you still have these bills to pay. And unless you have got your award from Congo and received the money, or unless you're using the money that you've just raised from the market, where are you going to get that from? But if we do raise money or receive money, that's not what we want to spend it on. Filling in a hole that has developed because one hadn't calculated the costs and cash flow correctly. So until we have very, very clear evidence that we have a pathway to ramp that up, we're going to take the low risk route. We can all think of examples on AIM over the last year or two of people who incurred big costs trying to set things up or setting them up, and found that they dug a hole for themselves. Nothing is worse than putting in a lot of capital cost and having a lot of people and finding you're not getting the revenues.
Okay, yeah, okay. And you do indeed have already a hole in the ground, don't you? You already sort of started looking what's then. Is it realistic to get into gold production before year end?
Yes, I think that's realistic.
Realistic, and would it be the objective? Would it be your?
But we are at the moment working in tight tolerances, because unless we get people out there very, very quickly now with the equipment, we're going to be into November, and then Christmas is coming. It doesn't allow much time to get started. So we have to. The next few days are going to be a rush.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Andrew, for your time. I do wish you the best of luck at the weekend and your travels over there. And do let us know how things are going.
We will. Yeah. Thanks.
If you enjoyed this interview, then give us a thumbs up, a like or a retweet. Subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Twitter, and hit that notification bell to be the first to know when we release new content. There's loads of great content on our website too, across all our programs at stopboxmedia.com. Thank you for watching.